Hey guys, this is Issues with Taddy One Skip once again. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, tea, steak, tofu, gluten, non-gluten, kosher meals, non-kosher meals, whatever it is, guys. I'm always hungry, always willing to talk. Guys, thanks again. I appreciate it. Micah Miller, right? First of all, guys, I'm sorry. Please like, subscribe, and share. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. If you don't like me at the end, you can unsubscribe. We are not a cult. We do not make you stay, but we like it if you will. Do you think Solid Rock Church in South Carolina is a cult? You know, they've acquired over $5 million in revenue and have a private jet. Why does a man of God, somebody who is supposed to relate and preach to the normal person and make things better, why do they have to have so much more than the normal person? How can you relate to the normal person when you have like a superiority? Why do you need to fly to places on a private jet? I don't understand that. There's always been a conflict of that in any religion to me. I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't matter. I don't understand that. That money, in my opinion, should be used to help other people. That, to me, is God's work, not a private jet. So, needless to say, I do not like John Paul Miller, the founder of Solid Rock Church. He's no longer even there. They pulled his pastor card from him because they have suspicions about him, and he's acting a little loopy-doodly, we'll say. And I'm not making fun of that. He's somebody I don't like because I think he had something to do with the unaliving of his beautiful wife, Micah, who was 14 years his junior, somebody that possibly he manipulated at a very young age to later have her as his wife, because they met. There are some people saying they met when they were 10, when she was 10, which, you know, he would have been 24, or they met when she was 14, he'd have been 28. Either which way out of bounds, folks. Way out of bounds, that, right? So, guys, we know that Micah is no longer with us. We're not sure what happened. There's people saying that she unalived herself. But why? And there are people saying she didn't unalive herself, that she was followed and taken over, and it was made to look like an unaliving of herself by the hands of herself, not by other people. There's just too much where it seems to me there's other people involved. There's a whole day of video with this woman buying the weapon, buying a soda, buying a sandwich, and a very good attitude, but there's a bunch of conflict in what happened that day, as we know that that was the last day of Micah's life. So why wouldn't they take an autopsy of a woman who they actually have on paper that she had made complaints about being stalked and followed and harassed by her ex-husband or estranged husband, Pastor John Paul, or ex-Pastor John Paul, and yet he was allowed to cremate her so quickly? Why? Why couldn't they see the defensive marks on her hands? Why didn't things make sense to them where they just said, listen, we have to do an autopsy here. We have to determine what happened here. Why wasn't that done? Why was it just okay that this lunatic called John Paul, who, listen, we see him on the grass, basically kissing the grass, because he was caught cheating with Micah by his ex-wife. And feeling like there was all these ants on him. You guys saw the video. I put up that video in my last video of Micah Miller, and it's everywhere online. John Paul, just look it up. Pastor John Paul lying on the grass, and you will see him. You will also find videos of him saying that he was laying next to Micah, I guess after she was gone, trying to bring her back from the DEAD. If he has that God syndrome, that he is some sort of miracle worker that can bring people back, you really think that it's safe that he's walking the planet among us? Or maybe he should be in a padded room. We should try to figure out what's wrong with this guy. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know, guys. Tell me, why were there so many shell casings around where Micah Miller supposedly unalived herself by herself, but supposedly just one shot that fisherman heard? What's up with that? And again, why didn't they do an autopsy? Why? There's so much contradiction. Why didn't they do an autopsy? That's the thing. That's the thing. Why was she in a parking lot at this park telling the 911 operator, I'm making this call so that my family can find me, and then leave that parking lot and walk away with your phone not beside you? For who to find you? How are you going to be found that easily? And also, if you listen to that 911 call, there is communication going on as if she's being told what to say. But she was supposed to be by herself. You know, a little bit of time before she unalived herself, when she went ahead and she bought that firearm, she said that she was using it to protect herself. She told people, I'm buying this to protect myself. I just don't understand, with all this contradiction, defensive wounds on her, her body being found in a weird spot when she didn't unalive herself in the water. That doesn't make any sense. There's too many things that make no sense in regards to Micah Miller to again say, why wasn't there an autopsy on this woman? And what can the Miller family do? What can Micah's family do to make this right? They can't bring her back, but they need to get justice. They need to clear her name, and they need to put the blame where the blame belongs, and there needs to be a trial for this, because it don't smell too good over there in South Carolina with John Paul Miller, who's now supposedly with somebody else, and was supposedly away with somebody else when this unaliving came about. But you know what? We don't trust John Paul. Why should we trust John Paul? He took photos of Micah, photos that were shared between a husband and wife, and put them as a pastor online. Photos of her breasts. Who does that, let alone a pastor? Come on. Who follows somebody? Who flattens somebody's tires? Who puts a tracking device on somebody? And he said, yeah, I didn't want her to get a gun. Your tracking device didn't work too well, my friend. You were afraid for her safety. Your tracking device didn't work very well, unless you were tracking her to find her at the most vulnerable moment so that you could assist with unaliving and making it look like she did it all by herself. John Paul, you look bad. And the FBI has picked up this case, and I hope they run from North Carolina to South Carolina to North Carolina to South Carolina to run your ass right in to a trial with charges against you. Because you have no business talking to people about God or talking to people about anything. You're poison, John Paul. And we see that. We see that alone just in your preaching. You know, there is nothing special about you, John Paul. Nothing. Nothing. And the world's going to see that. And you're going to be treated like that in a place called prison. Guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. Tell me what you think about the Micah Miller case. Fair, just trial, and John Paul in prison. That's the way I'm looking at it, guys. Let's see what happens. Let's see what the FBI does. All right, guys, this is Issues with Toddy One Skip. Be better today than you were yesterday. Not half as good as you'll be tomorrow. Never be John Paul Miller. Just be yourself, guys. Always be kind. Thanks. See you on the next one. Thanks, guys.